Hi, this is Kristi Talmadge. How are you? I wrote some notes and decided I was going to go over a few things that I've been thinking about and my opinions on a few things, and then, just report on some things that are going on. I am a citizen journalist. I mostly microblog on Twitter, and if you'd like to hear more from me, you can follow me at Kristi Talmadge. I always welcome debate and comments or, suggestions if you want me to talk about something at another time, another video in the future. Just leave it in the comments and, I will check them out. I'm always interested in hearing what people have to say, especially if you've got constructive criticism. I'm interested in hearing that too. So I am a big Twitter user. I use it to microblog all day, every day. I read the news. I watch source video, I watch press conferences, and then I just go back to Twitter and report it and see what people are interested in, and I enjoy the back and forth. Recently, I've decided I should start doing more videos and get a blog going, so I'm working on that. But most of the talk for the last couple of weeks, or last few weeks, has been Elon Musk buying Twitter. And no, the deal's not closed yet, and there's, all these things that you have to go through, and everybody and their brother is sending things to the FCC and the FTC and filing lawsuits with the Delaware Chancellery Court to stop him, but I'm excited about it. And the biggest reason I'm excited about it is because I am a big free speech advocate. Do not ban the books. When somebody bans a book, I go read that one first. I want to know what they don't want me to know. And there was so many people getting banned on Twitter in front of my eyes, just for having a different opinion than what the politically correct government narrative or mainstream corporate media news narrative was. And a lot of their claims had validity, and it was so frustrating to see half the conversation in the United States be shut down in front of my eyes. I literally lost half of my followers. Politically, I'm an unaffiliated independent, like about 40% of Americans. In Connecticut, only 41% of registered voters in Connecticut are unaffiliated independents. We outnumber Democrats. We outnumber Republicans. I'll show you a chart on that later. But I just got really tired of the partisan this and that. And free speech is free speech. I have friends that got banned for saying they thought Wuhan lab, that there was a lab leak, which caused COVID-19. Tons of people got banned during that purge. And then like a year later, the government comes out and they're like, oh yeah, COVID-19 might have come from a lab leak. It's not confirmed, and I'm not saying it is, but you literally got banned for even suggesting it on Twitter. I had friends get banned for a lot of things, but I literally lost half of my followers. So I knew half the conversation has been cut out recently, and I keep seeing people getting banned over things like whatever. But worst, and how I know that people are not exaggerating, is about 80% of my replies to tweets that I reply on are hidden under offensive content, where there's like a gray bar and you have to click to view more. And they're not offensive at all. I'm not trolling. I'm putting regular news and facts and, comments on there, and they put it under offensive content every time. So I can't wait until Elon Musk goes in and opens up those algorithms so I can see what it takes to get Twitter to do that to you, because apparently I did it. I'm very open for free speech, and I'll give you my toughest free speech position that I know whether or not people really support free speech or not. And it's Julian Assange. If you've been following him for a really long time before 2010, you would know that in 2010 that he exposed U.S. war crimes. They have hated him ever since. Obama didn't want to make a big deal out of it because they were war crimes during his term. So he didn't. Thank you. But now we're literally going after an Australian journalist, extraditing him from the UK to the US under false pretenses. But really because they're mad at him for exposing U.S. war crimes. What? We only like war crimes when somebody else exposes them about one of our enemies? Journalism doesn't work like that. So that is where probably the stand that gets me in the most trouble when I say I advocate for free speech. I advocate for Julian Assange's release. But in general, people have to have discussions, and we have to be able to have discussions about quote unquote taboo subjects that people get yelled at for talking about, because there are actually a lot of opinions in between. And it's hard when you have an in-between opinion to get your voice heard. Really quick, I'm going to show you, as far as Connecticut goes, I actually went up and did a chart. Let me just pull it up real quick, see if I do this right. From data from the Connecticut government website that shows in Connecticut, only 20% of voters are registered Republicans. 36.9, so 37% are registered Democrat. But us unaffiliateds are like 41%. So we're the purple. Unaffiliated is purple. We are bigger than the Democrats and bigger than the Republicans, but we don't get to even vote in primaries. And a lot of elections are decided by the primary. So I'm trying to push for unaffiliated independents to be able to vote in our primaries. I also think it would have the effect of pulling people from the farther left end of the political spectrum and the farther right end of the political spectrum, because that's what the primaries are giving us right now. They're very active base. And you got all these people that are moderate Republicans, moderate Democrats, and in between independents that don't want these things that are on the farthest left and farthest right of the extreme. So I think independent voices need to be recognized. And in order for that to happen, we need to not ban free speech. We need to keep free speech open. Come back to here. We need to keep free speech open so that people don't feel silenced for having an opposing view or one that doesn't fit what is currently the acceptable narrative. And, you know, Elon Musk mentioned fun. Twitter used to be fun. Their ad-based model ended up pulling in all those political ads and all those activism ads. And sucking up that money. And then Twitter turned into a political hellscape, a partisan political hellscape. And now they're like, oh no, what'd we do? And now the politicians are interested. You know, they got the news stations on there doing advertising. And I mean, that's what happened. They got sucked on the ad model, and everybody wants extra clicks. So all of these stories are clickbait central with a Democrat-based loving position or a Republican-based loving position. What about those of us with in-between opinions? Most of the time, which are more sane. These two people over here, they don't know how to compromise. Moderate Republicans and Democrats need to join in with independents and fix this mess, because it's no good. And it's not just in Connecticut. If you look at the Gallup Poll, let me switch back here. This is the Gallup Poll party affiliation website. This is new data. As of March 2022, 28% Republicans, 40% identify as independents, and only 30% as Democrats. So all of this partisan stuff that we're getting in the news, it's not really how most people feel. It's why people are sick of the news. They keep turning it off. They know MSM is lying. They're pushing an agenda. I want independent news that doesn't push an agenda. And Elon Musk sounds like he wouldn't mind giving that to us. You know, and that's all I want. I want for people from both sides to be able to talk, and all the people in between, because there's a lot of us. Okay, so there's that. I've seen a lot of they're like, oh, well, if you support free speech here, what about this? Because when I say I like Elon Musk buying Twitter, sometimes they're like, oh, you must be some kind of weird right-wing Republican, far right. No, I'm an unaffiliated independent. My whole thing is that I want people to be able to talk from all standpoints. Because we learn from, even if you don't like somebody else's opinion, we learn from one another. I listen to people. And you're never going to find compromise solutions and move this country forward unless you learn how to listen to everybody and find solutions that work for the majority. And really, we need more of that. You know, we need more free speech. People, and taking a joke. People need to be able to take a joke, because I'm really sarcastic and smart alecky sometimes. And I'm not sure if people know that I'm kidding or not. And a lot of times I don't think they do. No book banning. I'm against banning of the books. If somebody bans a book, I go read it too, because I want to know. What don't they want me to know? What's so taboo I can't read it? Or I can't watch it, or I can't see it? I want to know. Oh, I skipped a whole page here. Aha! Yes, it was an important page too. In addition to this left-right mess on Twitter, it is egregiously pushed in all of our mainstream media too. I tell everybody, I've seen Noam Chomsky trend a bunch of times in the last 6 months or so. More so since the Ukraine war, the Russia-Ukraine war. Regardless of why he's trending, I don't always agree with the guy, but there is a documentary called Manufacturing Consent. I think it's from 1988 that he did. That's about his book. You all need to watch it because you are being manipulated all the time. If you're watching MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, New York Times, Washington Post, whatever you're reading, that's that mainstream corporate investor driven, 6 companies own most of it media, you're getting manipulated. You're not getting the truth. So watch Manufacturing Consent so you're able to identify it. And I'm just going to bring up a couple of examples really quick that I see the most often, and it drives me nuts, and I just can't stand it. And people don't call it out, and I don't like it. So in order to get people excited about their stories, obviously, they clickbait. And like I said, they're giving you positions that are usually further on the obvious red meat base of the Republicans, or I don't know, what do you call it, blue meat for the for the Democrats? I don't know what you call that, blue waves. But a lot of times they give you extremes of opinion. So, and the politicians do it when they talk too. Democrats, Republicans, Fox versus CNN. They make all the things, all the stories, all the positions, all the ideas, all the policies. They make the choices black and white. It's either this thing right here that might be okay or not great or good, or it's this absolutely terrible, horrible extreme of the other side, worst possible case scenario. And they exaggerate. And there are choices in between extremes. We can talk about the abortion debate. We're going to have to. The whole country's going to talk about it now. Because somebody leaked the decision. I feel bad for that person because they're going to be in a lot of trouble. They're not going to get whistleblower protections. But now that the cat's out of the bag, when you look at the Twitter or the cable, the MSN, the CNN, the Fox News, whatever, you are presented with 2 options. No abortion at all. And we got the politicians in Louisiana, those Republicans, Deep South Republicans, that they want to make it murder to have an IUD. So they want to get rid of birth control and abortions at the same time. So there's these people that are insane over here. And I'm sorry, but yeah, you're insane. And then there's the Democrat faction of voices that sound louder than it is, that want abortion. And this is what Republicans take away from this, is that Democrats want abortion for any reason up until birth. Well, let me let you in on a little secret that you all should know, is that there are a lot of in-between opinions. The majority of people are in between on this issue. So they can misrepresent data however they want to and stick their personal religion or personal political agenda over here. They can do what they want to, but the fact remains is that most people have opinions in between. It is my personal opinion that women should have a choice for a reasonable amount of time, for any reason. I chose not to have an abortion. I chose to have my children. I'm grateful and glad I did, but that is not the right decision for every woman. And I don't feel that it is my right to take that choice away from them. And it's really not yours either. So what we really need to do is Democrats have proposed this bill in Congress called the Women's Reproductive Health Protection Act that reads like a progressive wish list. Flowery language. Republicans are not going to sign that. We already know that Republicans in Florida, Ron DeSantis, were able to agree to 16 weeks. I think it's up to 16. I think it's up to 16 and cut off at 16. And when we talk to people, majority of their opinions are like, yeah, rape, should be a reason. But it depends on what you set the upper limit at. So Democrats want 23 and then after for a lot of exceptions. And that's because the viability was set at 24 weeks. If you look at science, the viability is before 24 weeks now. So, I don't know, 20. But then there was a big movement to prevent a 24-week abortion ban. I don't support abortion at 24 weeks for any reason. But right now we're starting at nothing. If Roe v. Wade gets overturned, you are putting vulnerable women in a bad spot. The majority of women who get abortions are poor. 1 in 2 live below the federal poverty line. There's a lot more minorities, black and brown folks, than white people getting abortions. So it becomes an economic and a race issue. But then it's just women in general. Women shouldn't have to come up with all these excuses. There should be a period of time where they have an opportunity to think about it and make that choice. I understand later term abortion. I don't support later term abortions either. Because eventually that baby is definitely a baby. But the women should have a choice and have a period of time. And some of these babies, when these abortions occur after 23 weeks, there should be exceptions for that in some of these cases. Some of these babies are not going to survive, but for a few weeks, if that, outside of the womb. I've seen babies suffer. Make sure you understand what you're doing when you say, oh, but in this case. Well, sometimes that's a rare case. A lot of times these babies really, really suffer before they die. And that's why a woman makes a hard decision like that. And then you have cases of the mother's health. Jewish folks believe that you choose the mother. You can't just automatically assume that people want the mother to die. That is a family choice. It's not the government's to make. So I believe what the answer to this problem is opening up the conversation so that it's not just you either agree with no abortion at all, far right or extra conservative or extra Christian Republicans, or you agree with abortion for any reason until birth from the Democrats. Those do not have to be your only two choices. Sit down and think about it. Give it honest thought. Because these are, women, real lives. Women will end up getting abortions illegally and will get sick and will die if they do not have access to legalized abortion for a fair amount of time. We can be reasonable, but we need to talk about it. What are you comfortable with? And if it's as little as, say, a lot of people say first trimester, then that's a base. That's the start. Then you're not totally against it. Give women a chance. Don't just be totally against it. And for the same for the people on the other side, the extra progressive Democrats. It's not cool to murder babies up until birth. I've seen plenty of 23, 24, especially 24-week-old babies survive and do well. There has to be a real reason after a certain limit why you're doing that. That's either for the mother's health or the baby's not going to. So you just can't go willy-nilly, decide at any point to end it. People need to talk about it. My opinion may not necessarily be the right answer or the right opinion, but I want people to freely and openly discuss it so we come up with a solution for all women that doesn't take anybody's rights away. So I don't know. I encourage it. I hope y'all do that. And that was my serious discussion. Let's see. Oh, the other part with the media and what the media and especially the Twitter activism does is demonization, and it's very much related to what I was just saying. In any news item or any statement that you read, it's either this really good thing or the really bad thing. Demonization is when you characterize a whole group of people or just one person to like the most terrible thing in the world. The absolute. So when they call all Republicans Nazis, that's demonization. All Republicans are not Nazis. When they call liberals, all Democrats are commie, mentally ill libtards, that's demonization. So we really need to get away from that too. We need to talk about the issues and have their arguments and come up with solutions with less demonization. It's not necessary. When you watch the cable news all day, or you read that partisan stuff on Twitter or on your news articles or Facebook all day, that distorts your thinking. If you're just listening to one side all the time, that distorts your thinking. You need to get views in between. So you don't necessarily have, we've got on Sling, we've got CNN and Fox. I'm like, oh God, we got the worst on that side and the worst on this side, and I just don't bother with cable news anymore. So election 22 is coming up. I don't think I don't know if they're gonna allow political ads on Twitter or not, or how that mess is gonna go, and how the Elon Musk factors in. Will it be closed the deal by then? Will all kinds of free speech be allowed? Or is it going to be very subdued with no politicals allowed? Or I don't know what it's going to be. Again, it would really be nice if the independents could vote, unaffiliated independents could vote in either the Republican or the Democrat primary, not both. But I think we could pull these candidates more towards with the majority, the maximizing of human happiness, 80% bell curve here, and come up with solutions that people want. I considered running. It's so hard when you're just an indie and you don't have a Democrat Party to rely on or a Republican Party to rely on. You have no idea how to campaign. There's no Act Blue or Win Red. So it's very difficult to get started, but I could run as a write-in. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm doing. But there are 41% of us in Connecticut, and as Gallup showed, 40% across the country consider themselves independent. And we don't get a voice. So I'm hoping for election 2022 we get candidates that aren't too extreme. I got to tell you, I'm looking at these candidates, and I'm not feeling too hopeful. Between the abortion issue and Senator Rick Scott's tax plan, they're just dying to lose the House and the Senate. I thought they had it locked because Democrats were not doing a good job. And I thought GOP had it locked, but no, they don't. And other people are coming, other GOP supporters. I'm just a neutral independent. I pick whoever's best on the issues. But they're also realizing that their party is like screwing it up on this no abortion and raise taxes on 75 million families issue. Let's see, what else? Oh, the one other big thing I always want to touch on mental health, so I'll do that last. But first, I don't know about you, but I've been getting a lot of trolls on Twitter. Like every time a headline comes up, that Russia threatened nukes or Russia threatened nuclear war, and I just like, whatever. I can't stand Putin. If I said what I said, YouTube would probably put some ban on my account for being way too honest. He's not a good person. He's a very bad person. He's a very slimy person. He invaded Ukraine on false pretenses. I have no sympathy for him whatsoever. And I don't think Russia can be trusted again until he is out of power. So, this week, Russia threatened that they've been threatening Sweden and Finland about joining NATO, that they're going to put their nukes closer in the Baltic Sea. And I have friends in Finland and Sweden. And one of them actually served in the NATO peacekeeping force in Finland under the Brits. Even though Finland wasn't in NATO, but they went, and then their commanders were the Brits. And they've been wanting in NATO, Finland, for a long time. And my friend in Sweden said, yeah, now they really want in NATO. So I say, welcome them with open arms. You've got that big old long border with Russia. And I am perfectly happy to have them in. They are a democratic, peace-loving country. And I would like to see them remain a sovereign nation and stay that way. Russian media threatened this week. And Russian state media is basically run by the Russian government. Russian state media threatened this week that they were going to take a nuke, put it in the ocean near the UK, and kill them with a radioactive tsunami. That was this week's threat. And I just wanted to put, and I made some smart comments about it, like, whatever. I said UK has nukes. Not only does the UK have nukes, the UK has 225 nuclear weapons. If Russia explodes a nuke, they will have enough to get to a tsunami, to get over it. They will have time to launch one because they're not all on UK property. The UK is in NATO. Russia has 4,477 nukes. The United States has 3,700 nukes. If Russia starts launching nukes, it's mutual destruction, apocalypse. Nobody survives. It's terrible. Maybe a few people survive some people might survive miserably. So I don't take the threats lightly. But these are mostly Russian trolls, and I really think a lot of times, I think it's just threats. I think it's bravado. I think he's trying to scare the United States people, the European people. He's trying to scare people with the nuclear threat. Because obviously his conscript army can't hang. Definitely not against NATO. So if I come up as seeming like I don't care or that I don't take nuclear threats seriously, on my microblog and in Twitter, I do. I take them very seriously, but I'm sick of the troll bullshit. And I'm sick of the every other threat is a nuclear war threat. Well, you know what? You don't get to just go around killing people and committing what borderlines genocide because you're on a freaking ego trip because you have nukes. So I'm just going to point out this here. So the next time you get a Russian troll or anybody else that says, oh, well, they're going to all nuke you and you're all going to die first and blah, 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 this and that. Let me see if I can get my screenshot to record properly again with my weird transition screen. But if you look this up, there's a Newsweek article. They did a report on a poll. More than 4 in 5 Russians fear nuclear war with the U.S. They're terrified of it too. So before you get too worked up about these few trolls, and by the way, half of them aren't even from Russia. Just understand that they're terrified of it too. So, you can go look up this article. I can link it if you want me to. But you can't be, it's a possibility. And, I'm 47, and it's been a possibility my whole life. So I think it's new and maybe a little extra scary for young people. But I came to the mindset a long time ago that we have, as individuals, we don't really have any control over it. So, I pray to God and hope that diplomacy works, that UK or the Ukraine can, not the Ukraine, Ukraine, not the Ukraine. Ukraine can defend itself with the weapons that we're sending them. And I'm cool with NATO taking in Sweden and Finland and just providing security because we're not going to be able to trust Russia. We've got China on our doorstep too. Just watching carefully to see how that plays out. Geopolitics can get real messy, and it's extra messy now with Russia. I could do more talking about how the fact that I don't want to hear about the Putin price hike. Inflation is out of control. Rent's out of control. I can't afford to move out. I rent a room from a friend, which is why I have to wait for him to go to work to do videos. Wages aren't going up that much. I don't know what they want people to be excited about. And I get tired of hearing manipulated statistics and people bragging about statistics that aren't true. So I hope the best for you all. On mental health, I just want to give an extra push. A lot of people are struggling right now. You don't always know what people are going through. So some people may come off as snappy or rude or too sensitive or insensitive. But try to be kind to each other, at least most of the time, because people are really stressed out, and it's easier to get your feelings hurt when people are stressed out. Go outside, talk to your neighbors, talk to the community. We still need more mental health services. There are not enough programs in Connecticut. There is definitely not enough housing. So now we have an issue with the homeless situation in Connecticut where they'll keep the overflow shelters open for a certain amount of months in the winter. But once they close, these people the shelters are closed, these people have nowhere to go. So they're picking out spots to put tents. And then every other week, Parks and Rec comes and takes all their stuff and burns it in the incinerator. And they have to go find a new place and find new stuff. So there's that mess going on right now. I have no idea how to fix it or who's going to... Well, I mean, I have ideas on how to fix it, but nobody wants to fund it. So just be nice, because you don't know what people are going through. They might be having a bad day, just like you're having a bad day. And then maybe people pass it on and be kind to you too. Okay, I hope you all have a great day. Again, if you have comments, leave them below. If you have things you would like me to yap about or post on, you can leave that below as well. And you can follow me at Kristi Talmadge on Twitter. Bye.